All right. Now, live on YouTube, I'll just finish sharing this on my socials. Gonna leave some more time before getting started, just to wait to see whether someone joins. Then I'll start recording and crack on with the real thing. Just gonna share this on my personal profile after having shared on the show's Instagram account. Just leave a little bit of time more before getting started on this very, very rainy Monday here in Switzerland. I don't know where you're watching this from, but over here it's been having a very damp day. Now, of course, always very entertaining matches yesterday, or better yet, over the course of the weekend in the second stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup that took place in Shanghai, China, in the something financial square plaza in Pudong in Shanghai. I was there 2 years ago, and yeah, very impressive venue as always in Shanghai because yeah, the Chinese they don't play games, they don't fool around. Now I'm gonna speak more about all that happened, but of course we've had some first time winners, namely in the compound, but also on the recurve, but on the recurve as well. Very first time medalist in Birkin Tumor, and his first individual medal at the circuit. He is already an Olympic medalist in the teams competition, but that was a very impressive individual performance by him. And I'm gonna say in the late in the recording that I excuse me for my voice because I was quite sick these days, and I think I'm feeling much better than I sound, so that's good. But it's gonna take a couple of days until this cold flu voice leaves me. Right, I think I'll get started with the recording, going over all the topics that I have. A reminder that this is going to stay the podcast feed. This is going to be recorded here on YouTube for anyone interested in following the entirety of this afterwards. Nearly 10 p.m. here in the Central European summertime in Western Europe, basically. Just almost 5 p.m. in my home country, Brazil. Catching all of the Americas, just a bad time for anyone who's ahead of me, especially in Asia. I don't think I have a lot of listeners in Asia, but too bad for them. Okay, I'll start recording and I'll go through all the points that I have for today's shoot off wrap. Hello and welcome to the second shoot off wrap of the season. I'm Bernardo Oliveira, Brazilian Olympic archer. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you so much for joining the show. This episode, just like the previous one, is being recorded live on YouTube, and I'm bringing you all the action of the second stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup that concluded yesterday. We had the finals over the weekend in the Manshou Plaza in Pudong, Shanghai. A very amazing backdrop and many amazing matches as well. It is a venue that I know myself. The early eliminations were shot in the Yuanshan Sports Stadium, and I competed there many times myself. In fact, the best result I've ever had in a World Cup stage was there when I finished ninth. And the finals also were the same from 2024, which happens to be my very last World Cup stage that I shot as an athlete. So lots of meaning in there for me, but we're not here to talk about my own results. We're here to talk about some of the world's best athletes, and they gave an amazing display over the weekend in the finals there in Shanghai. Before we get started, I apologize for my voice. I don't sound the best. I've been quite sick over the last couple of days, but I'm feeling much, much better. In fact, I sound better. I feel better than I sound. That's what I wanted to say. So, apologize me for my voice. I will remind at the end of the episode that if you don't know it yet, there is the Fantasy Archery website and platform online. You don't follow them on social media, definitely you should. It is a very nice initiative created by Emil Custers, a coach from the Netherlands, and bringing this fantasy concept so common in other sports to archery, and it's so cool. So I've been playing, and have to say I'm not the best, but it's fun all the same, and playing with some friends. And I've created the Shoot Off Archery Podcasts League on Fantasy Archery, so you can just look for the show's name, find my league, our league, and we can play together. Maybe you will need an invitation code, which I put in the episode description, both on YouTube and on the podcast feed. So join me there. It's going to be very exciting. It's very fun and free to play. All right. So we started with Compound Saturday. In the first session, we had the teams, and it was all about Turkey versus the United States. The three gold medals were between these two countries. So the facing in the compound women team, compound men team, and also the mixed team. And in the first two, Turkey had they had the better of the Americans, so they ended up winning those two gold medals, and it seemed like very real that they could have a clean sweep taking the mixed team as well. We have to admit that both finals in the men's and the women's, they were very exciting and very tight matches. But as it often happens at this high level, it was decided by some crucial tiny mistakes made by one of the teams in this United States. And so Turkey taking two golds to start a dream compound campaign over there in Shanghai. I was surprised to see that, okay, after the weekend was over, but we have Turkey, the men's team in a compound, leading the world ranking. And if I'm going to be very honest with you, I think no one really cares about the team world ranking, but the fact that the Turkish men, they are leading it, it's got to mean, it's got to be significant, to say the least. And the women as well go a lot in the world ranking there as well. But they were denied a clean sweep by Alexis Ruiz and Jay Lutz in the mixed team gold medal final. It all came down to Hazal Burun, the Turkish lady, a mistake that she made in the third when she had an eight. The match was very tight, but then this just made things so much worse for Turkey. And so we had then James Lutz and Alexis Ruiz from the United States winning gold. Interesting. If you haven't heard yet, James Lutz from the United States, he recently broke the world record in the qualification round, shooting 719 points. If I'm not mistaken, the previous record, 718, was by another American, Braden Galantine, and this one had been standing for quite some time. Unofficially, Sebastian Garcia from Mexico. We're going to talk more about him in just a moment. He had broken the world record in the Mexican trials, but it was not a archery homologated competition, so that did not count. And then we didn't have to wait long until an official result came, with James Lutz breaking the world record in the Gator Cup in the United States, not long before Shanghai. But Alexis Ruiz shooting amazing as well, and then in there post-victory interview, it was interesting them highlighting the amazing dynamic they have, this duo that they have each other's back, and we could see them as they were shooting. And of course, it makes us think about whether this will be the American duo shooting at the Olympics in LA. Of course, there's still so much to happen, and I really don't wish I was a compound archer shooting the American trials for LA 28, because the competition is just going to be mind-bogglingly tough. But if we do have Ruiz and Lutz, we already see from this moment that it is a very amazing mixed team and a very strong one. We move on then to Saturday afternoon. It was the second session of the compound with the individuals, and we started with the women's. After the semifinals, it was very clear that one side of the bracket was on better form than the other. So the first semifinal was Lisell Jäatma from Estonia, who won silver in the previous stage in Puebla, Mexico, and Alex Ruiz from the United States, who we were talking about just now about the mixed team. It was an amazing match, 149 for both archers, and then shoot off, both of them shooting tens. I think it was a 3 or 4 millimeter difference between the two tens. Alexis Ruiz just outside the X, and Lisell Jäatma managing to clip the line of the X ring. Afterwards, in the wings, we could overhear a little bit Alexis Ruiz speaking. I don't remember to whom, but she was saying like, "Well, I've shot my best, the best I've ever shot, and still I lost." And yeah, that's crazy. But she said that with a smile on her face, just showing that, in my opinion, she had the good mindset. It has happened to me as well when I shot so well, but it just happened that my opponent managed to shoot better, and then you don't feel too bad when you lose like that, because you've done your part. And for sure, Alexis Ruiz did hers. But when I mentioned that clearly one side of the bracket was more stronger than the other, was stronger than the other, actually, because we had an all Mexican semifinal on the other side between Daphne Quintero and Andrea Becerra. And we just had them dropping so many nines. And so we come from this semifinal between Jäatma and Ruiz, where we literally had only two nines in a total of 32 arrows. And then we have this one between the two Mexicans, where it's like they're just shooting nine all the time. And then already we could feel that, look, whoever wins this semifinal is likely going to stay with silver, gonna go home with silver, going up against Lisell Jäatma. But, well, the bronze medal match was exciting. Daphne Quintero just finding her form a little bit better because she lost to Andrea Becerra in semi. But Alexis Ruiz, much deserved, winning bronze and taking the last step of the podium. But then in the gold medal final, things didn't really pan out as I was saying before. Like, it wasn't this slam dunk easy victory for Lisell. And Andrea Becerra started shooting 3 nines, if I'm not mistaken, which is not ideal in compound. So, it really gave Lisell a comfortable lead in the beginning. But little by little, Becerra just managed to and this very amazing streak of tens, and then she managed to claw her way back, and Lisell maybe feeling the pressure a little bit, and it all came down to the very last arrow, and Lisell needed a 10 to win. And by this time, as the day was going forward, we could see that the wind was picking up and conditions were challenging for everyone. And so, with a lot of wind, Lisell managed to shoot a 10 that she needed. And it was all tears for her after that. The interview was very touching. She mentioned some of the big struggles that she had last year, mental struggles, health struggles. And she talked quite openly about that at the end of last year on her socials. That was impressive to see her so openly talk about it. And what a comeback this marks for her, because it is truly remarkable. After having won silver in Puebla, now she tops it with gold, her first title in the World Cup circuit. So, yeah, very touching and emotional. It was very nice to see. Moving on to the men's individual, the big stories from the beginning was, of course, Martin Damsbo from Denmark, the 40-year-old making a comeback in the final fours of a World Cup stage after 10 years. He won the final stage in 2013, and then his last four appearance was in 2016. And we have seen him many times in the coaching other athletes from Denmark, especially Mathias Bulletin, who's one of the best, undeniably, these days. But then to see Martin Damsbo being able to be there amongst some of the world's best and much younger archers than him, it was very, very nice to see. The semifinal, then, just let me find my notes. But the first semifinal, we had Jadav from India making his very first appearance in the Final Four up against Nicolas Girard. Both semifinals, in fact, were very tough ones, very tight ones, with Jadav from India losing by only a single point against the world champion Nicolas Girard from France, and Sebastian Garcia edging Damsbo by a single point. But then after this, Damsbo, he was really struggling. It was also symbolic to have the rookie and Yadav from India up against the big veteran from Denmark in the bronze final. And it was quite a comfortable victory for the rookie Yadav, but Damsbo managed to finish the match in a super classy way, shooting a 30 and then waving his cap at the crowd. It was very, very beautiful, very nice to see. So hats off to Damsbo on an amazing performance, and him who spoke when he managed to qualify for the finals, that he is juggling family life and his job, and then when he has the time, he shoots some arrows for practice. So amazing effort by him. But nonetheless, Jadav making a statement by winning his first individual medal in the World Cup circuit. But then all attention in the gold medal final between Nicolas Girard from France and Sebastian Garcia from Mexico. This was always going to be an amazing match. And it delivered 145 on each side, came down to a shoot off. And with the wind blowing that I mentioned before already in the women's gold medal final between Lisell Jäatma and Andrea Becerra. So Sebastian Garcia from Mexico shot first. He shot a 9, and it wasn't far from the 10. But a 9 in a shoot-off in compound is that going to be good enough? But then Girard shot a 9 even further, just showing how difficult the conditions were. And so we have the first title, the first individual gold medal for Sebastian Garcia from Mexico. Interesting, in the post victory interview, he mentioned, yeah, all these things, family, friends, thanking everyone, but also thanking his girlfriend, Ella Gibson from Great Britain. What a couple this is. And I know that she helped him a lot in terms of equipment setup. And so they train together, they share a lot of experience. And Ella Gibson, who everyone is one of the best in the world, and she has won many gold medals. Now her boyfriend has won his first, and first of many, I would say. I want to take the bragging rights because in before the Puebla World Cup, World Archery had an article written by Blake where some of the experts were giving their predictions for the season, for the 2026 season, and I mentioned Sebastian Garcia as one that could be one of the standout names, and so it didn't take long for him to prove me right. I'll take some more time to go a little bit deeper on Sebastian Garcia because if you don't know, I work at the World Archery Excellence Center in Lausanne, Switzerland. And the Mexican team arrived here early morning today, flying straight from Shanghai. And they'll be here until the next stage of the World Cup in Turkey so that they didn't have to make this whole journey back to Mexico to then come to Europe and So they're going to be staying here for about 3 weeks. And I managed to speak to the man himself. We exchanged a couple of words, and I asked him, like, how did he feel in that little time, that short wait that he had between shooting his shoot off arrow and Nicolas Girard. And he said that as soon as he shot his arrow, he thought, like, yeah, that's it. It's over. I lost it. Because he said it felt much worse than actually it was in the target. Like afterwards, he saw where the arrow landed, and it was much closer than he thought. So um, the conditions were very tricky. He was saying that on the target, not a lot of wind was blowing, but it was more like on the shooting line. So just moving your arm all over the place. And that is so tricky. But very, very nice to be watching the competition and to be able to speak to him myself just today. Well, that brings us to the end of Compound Saturday. And I have taken a bit longer than I wanted to for this. Hopefully, you don't mind that. But okay, we get then to Recurve Sunday. And one of the big results was India versus China. India against the favorite, of course. And India beat them. They denied China of this first gold medal of the day on home soil. And why India is such a big story is because they beat Korea in the semifinal, then beat China in the gold medal final. And we have had many Olympic gold medal finals between China and Korea in the women's team. They are clearly the two superpowers, but with China in a bit of a slump over the, let's say, past 8 years. And China, it's even on the episode, the title. China, they are going through these recent resurgence, and they have this whole wave of young athletes, and it's really, really exciting to see. And the prospect is that they're getting back to their winning ways and perhaps to challenge Korea. But then all of a sudden, we have India come and then just spoil the party for both of them, because India denied Korea for being in the final in the first place. But very amazing performance. I gotta say, it wasn't the best match in terms of scores, and the conditions seemed to be quite good. It's just that no one was really finding the middle. But anyway, that doesn't matter as long as you outscore your opponent. Now, a comment I just wanted to make, and it makes me feel old, is the fact that Deepika Kumari, I remember her in the Indian team when she was the exciting young talent, and she was only 16, shooting with donuts. And now she is the veteran, and she is the oldest archer in the team. And we had, just let me find her name once again, in the Indian team, Kumkum. What's her name again? I'm sorry. Kumkum Anil Modho from India, only 17 years old and shooting superb, being in the team, of course. But yeah, great stuff from China, from India beating China in the gold medal final. Just to finish this on them, is India has never won an Olympic medal. And I have always said that I don't think it's a matter of if it's a matter of when they will win. And it could well be in the women's individual, of a long shot. It can happen, of course, but the team for sure. And this result is testament to that. In the men's, well, not a lot to say about that. Korea beating Turkey in most Korean way, shooting superbly well. And in Puebla, Korea was not there because they hadn't finished their trials and their selection process for the year yet. And surprise, the team that we have once again from Korea in the men's is Kim Woo-jin, Kim Jae-dok, Liu Sok. It's just that there is another guy who was the fourth in their team there in Shanghai. I forgot his name, but yeah, it feels like it's a broken record, just repeating itself over and over again. But the results don't they don't get any worse. They're shooting at a very top amazing level, and they beat Turkey fair and square. Then in the mixed team, just to mention in the bronze, Japan versus Germany. Japan, they melted and they crumbled like I've seen few times before. That was very painful to see. So Germany taking bronze there. But then I mentioned the Chinese resurgence and this new reinvigorated Chinese team. And another amazing example is them beating Korea in the mixed team. Kim Jin, to be honest, all morning didn't shoot that well, and it was the same in the mixed team. And also OG, the newcomer in the Korean team, who was shooting alongside Kim Jin, she also struggled. While had the Chinese duo on top form with Huang Yuwei and Li Menqgi. That being said, in the afternoon session, that was already the last session of this competition, amazing semifinal between Jin Hee, the world champion in 2021 from Korea, also was in Tokyo 2020, against Zhu Jingyi from China. Zhu is one of the hot names of the Chinese team after having won silver runner-up at the World Championships last year. She won the last stage in Puebla, and now she beat Jiang Minghee in a very tight, amazing match. So that was one exciting follow. But the second semifinal wasn't that exciting. It was Kang Chaeyoung from Korea against a new name as well, Kaur Simjanit, I think. Kaur from India. The Indian didn't shoot any tens, and Kang was Kang. So 6-0, easy peasy, a walk in the park for her. And then on to the gold medal final against Zhu Jingyi from China. Just before that, the bronze was more exciting with the Kaur finding her form and putting up a fight, but it was in the end the Korean Jiang who won. But Kaur can take so many positives from this World Cup stage. Hats off to her. In the gold medal final, Kang Chaeyoung showed why her nickname is the Destroyer, because she beat Zhu Jingyi from China fair and square 6-2. The Korean just started a little bit spread, which gave the Chinese an opportunity. But then after that, Kang shot what 3 nines to then end the 6-2. Her first competition of the season, like not much else to say about her. Finishing off then with the men's, and the big story of the men's and one of the big stories of this competition, of course, it's got to be Li Menqgi from China, a very young archer, 21 years old. And I'll give you a spoiler. He won gold, but in what a fashion. He beat Berkan Tumer from Turkey in the semifinal. Tumer, in his turn, didn't shoot that well. Shot 5-7. It was a bit messy all over the place. While Lee was super solid and booked his place into the final. In the other semifinal, Mete Gazo from Turkey, who won bronze last time out in Puebla. So very strong start of the year for the Turkish against Nakanishi Jr. from Japan. The Japanese was, a bit inconsistent, and we saw some flashes of the Tokyo 2020 Mete. So had the Turkish archer, former European world and Olympic champion, go to the final. However, a bronze medal match between Tumer and Nakanishi Jr. was very exciting, super tight, went down to off. Who shot first? I think it was Tumer, and he shot a 10. Nakanishi Jr. shot a 10 as well. They were only 7 millimeters apart. And what a result for Birkin Tumer, winning his first ever individual medal at the Cup stage. However, of course, big attention on the very last match of the day. The grandstands were packed, of course, to see their man, the home favorite Li Menqgi from China, up against one of the world's best recent years in Mete Gazos. And Just looking at the previous on the CVs and the track record of each archer, you would think that, come on, this is Mete is the clear favorite here. But this was the thing from the mixed team match, the gold medal match, and the semifinal, and then as the gold medal final started, Lee, he seemed quite comfortable all throughout. He didn't look like this young kid who's shooting for his first major international title in front of his home crowd. He didn't look like he was being phased by any of that, which in itself is already super impressive. On top of that, he started with 229s, leading the way 4-0 against Mete. 229s, just, yeah, correct. I have it open here. So amazing, but we all knew that Mete was not going to let this one go without a fight. And so he did, shooting 329s after that. And the very last set was thrilling because it was 10, 10, 10, 10. And then Mete's last arrow was a 9, leaving Lee with the need to shoot a 10 to win his first World Cup stage in front of his crowd. And he delivered. Cool as a cucumber. So impressive. And I couldn't help but think that he looks like Ojinyak. He makes think of Ojinyak, not only physically, but also his demeanor. Kind of this calm and almost like a cheeky confidence, of kind of like, I'm doing my thing. I don't care what anyone thinks, and I always go about my own stuff. And for me, that's very telling. It's something that we really don't see often, and I dare say that we, I think we're seeing the rise of a new star. The cool thing was to see the World Archery feature afterwards, and they were saying that, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of international experience, but last year in November, he won kind of these Chinese domestic games, which for them is a big deal. And so that was already a sign of things to come. And I can't stress enough what an amazing feat this was by the young Chinese. Just finished on this point, the thing that had to catch our attention was the fact that Mete was all the time to the left. In fact, so many archers to the left, that's the direction in which the wind was blowing. And Mete was to the point of like, come on, just move your side, dude. You can correct this. But for sure, he was working on that. He's got Goktu Gergen behind him. And yeah, I myself, it's easier said than done than just adjust. But Lee Menqgi also navigating the conditions better, and it paid him dividends, winning gold. Well, that's it for today. This went much longer than the previous shoot off wrap. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your company. If you want, you can watch this on YouTube where I'm running this live, or just listen on the podcast. Once again, as I said in the beginning of the episode, letting you know that now the Archery Podcast has its own league on Fantasy Archery. So head to fantasyarchery.com, and there is the invitation code if you need in the episode description. I'll come back with the regular episodes very soon, hopefully in less than a week. I will uh, release the podcast I recorded with Lucy O'Sullivan from Great Britain. And then afterwards, another Brit, but I'll reveal that in due time. And hopefully, very soon, I'll record with maybe one of the Mexicans here in Lausanne. Well, this is the second show wrap of the season. I'll be back after the European Championships. All the attentions now turn to one of the major continental championships in a circuit. The European Championships are next week already in Antalya, Turkey, and that will be an exciting one to follow, and I will bring you the results after that as well. Thank you very much once again. This is the Shoot Off Archery Podcast. I'm Bernardo Oliveira. Thank you for listening.